Verbal or life.
Welcome to verbalonlife. Noel over here, battling MS, bringing you the latest news as to what's going on out there. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the protests going on in New York City, where Trump is battling the case of the century. First time ever we take an ex-president to court. So stay tuned. If this is your first time on the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We're up to 1,600 subscribers. Trying to grow this platform, bring you news that's outside regular television news. So like that, you could be better informed. So go ahead and subscribe. Let's make it happen. Let's grow this channel. Let's take a look. New York City immigration collapsing. Well, I shouldn't say New York City immigration collapsing. New York City is collapsing and people are protesting because what's going on right now with the Biden economy is crazy. And we got to talk about it. Let's take a look.
Verbal or life.
Have a mind for officials, not just the size of any potential gatherings, but what may be said that could stir crowds into a frenzy. Now, there is one large protest scheduled outside of the courthouse.
Tomorrow, Donald Trump's first criminal trial is set to begin here in New York City in what may be the only case to actually go to trial before the November election.
This is something, obviously, that the whole world is going to be watching.
Tonight, security in New York City is ramping up. Mr. Trump will spend the night at his Trump Tower apartment, already protected by Secret Service and an enhanced NYPD detail. Along busy Fifth Avenue, barricades have been set up as far as the eye can see. There's also growing press here from around the globe. They are mixed in with tourists that are flocking to the region. The police...
Donald Trump, the most famous person on earth, ex-president of the United States. We all know who he is, but can he get a fair trial in New York City? And you know what's good thing about this? That because he has to be in court Monday through Friday, except for Wednesday, he's actually campaigning in New York City. So there's a possibility that he might flip New York. What do you think? Comment down below. Let's keep watching.
Presence here also only expected to grow in the coming hours. A carefully coordinated security effort by the NYPD, court officers, U.S. Marshals, and the Secret Service.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and his team are the prosecutors in the trial. On December 6th, 2022, DA Bragg secured the conviction of the Trump Corporation and the Payroll Corporation for conspiracy, criminal tax fraud, and falsifying business records.
The focus in the last 24 hours has been almost exclusively on Trump.
Then on March 30th, 2023, Donald Trump was indicted by DA Alvin Bragg. And
you know, they could have indicted him right after his presidency, but they waited to see that he was running again for presidency before bringing on the charges. And now here we are. That's crazy.
Manhattan court. Days later, he was arraigned. The Trump hush money case is the first of 4 criminal cases to move to trial. Former President Donald Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsifying records in the first degree. But Trump is not the only one involved. Michael Cohen will likely be the star witness in the hush money case. He was Donald Trump's lawyer and fixer.
Starting tomorrow, jury selection in President Trump's first criminal trial will get underway. Could take days, maybe weeks. The 12 jurors ultimately seated, along with some alternates, will be asked to consider 34 felony counts against the former president.
This is like a movie. They already got 7 of the jury. Hopefully by the end of the week, they'll get the other 5 that's needed. So we got to watch this.
In connection with money paid to an adult film star who says she had sex with Trump and then took the money to keep quiet.
And she already wrote a letter saying that she didn't. That I don't even know why she's involved in this. Or she doesn't even know.
Each of those counts carries a possible 4-year jail term. Prosecutors are trying a novel legal theory that elevates misdemeanor charges related to falsifying business records to felonies by claiming they were falsified to conceal another crime. The case is expected to take a couple of months. It will not be televised. High-profile witnesses may include former Trump fixer Michael Cohen. The defense will try to paint him as unreliable and self-interested. It's possible former Trump aide Hope Hicks, Stormy Daniels herself, and another woman who claims she had an affair with the president could take the stand, but will the former president? Let's ask someone who could answer that question. Joining me now, attorney for the former president, Will Scharf. Good to see you.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so the president, first of all, let's talk about jury selection. This is an area where Manhattan, roughly 85% of the vote last time around went for President Biden. How
Good luck finding somebody who's not going to be prejudiced against Trump.
tough is it going to be to get a jury you think can be neutral?
Well, I think that's a really important point. At the end of the day, what we're talking about here is a show trial. It's a 6-week-long media extravaganza in the media capital of the world, where the only realistic consequence, even if President Trump were convicted, is frankly a talking point for the Biden campaign. Jury selection is going to be difficult. I have a lot of faith in our team up there that they're going to be able to get the best possible jury. But I think it's really important to note that the fact that this case is being brought at the height of election season makes the process of picking a jury even more difficult, makes the possibility of having a biased jury even more likely. And that's a real problem.
Well, the president a couple of days ago said he'd be okay taking the stand. There are those out there who say, one legal analyst said, if he was my client, I'd beg him not to do it. Michael Cohen, who is also expected to be on the stand, is skeptical the president will take the stand. Here's what he said last night.
The likelihood of Donald Trump being on the stand is equal to the likelihood of me waking up tomorrow 7'6" and playing center for the New York Knicks. It's not going to happen. The one thing that, every time Donald opens his mouth, you know that something non-truthful is coming out of it. We also know that he's not a good defendant. He's not a good witness.
He does tend to get frustrated with judges, with attorneys in the courtroom. He's given to hyperbole at times. This is different than a campaign stop or a press conference. I mean, it's under oath. Would he take the stand? And do you have any worries about that?
I think that's going to be a decision for President Trump and the trial team, depending on how the trial progresses. I would say that I think if he does take the stand, President Trump will be a compelling witness. He did nothing wrong here. The truth is absolutely on his side. So that's a decision that's going to have to be made down the road. But one way or the other, I have full confidence in both President Trump and the team.
This is a show trial. I don't think he's going to take the stand because every single day when he goes in and comes out of court, he goes ahead and addresses the news reporter and talks to them. That's the people he needs to talk to, the people watching the trial, the television shows
that he has around him.
How worried are you about Michael Cohen? Because he says people are going to be surprised by some of what they're going to hear. He says he's not the linchpin to this whole thing. In fact, Lania Davis, who's been a legal advisor to him, says this: the case against Trump involves multiple witnesses besides Cohen to corroborate the crime of paying illegal hush money under New York law, as well as under federal law, backed up by multiple witnesses, documents, text messages, telephone call records, and documents. You guys clearly are going to go after Cohen, but he says it's not just me. There are all kinds of other things that will back up my story.
Well, look, and I'm somewhat limited in what I can say here because of the wildly unconstitutional gag order entered against President Trump by Judge Merchan in this case, which just goes to show how outrageous this whole process has been. With respect to Michael Cohen, as we've said consistently in pleadings, this is a man who numerous courts have found guilty of perjury in the past. And I think ultimately the jury is going to have to weigh the credibility of the various witnesses. But I truly believe the truth is on President Trump's side. And there's nothing that any of these witnesses or anything the New York DA can do to change that basic fact.
Would the legal team consider this idea that's being floated out there of when you get to the jury, before they get to deliberations, asking for lesser included offense, meaning giving them an opportunity to say, we will convict on misdemeanors instead of these felonies? Or do you guys want to go for broke as felonies or nothing?
Well, one of the craziest things about this case, and you teased this a little bit in your intro, is the fact that what we're dealing with here are misdemeanor offenses that through this weird legal alchemical process, Alvin Bragg has attempted to convert into felony offenses. If these were merely misdemeanors, there's no question the statute of limitations would not allow this case to have been brought in the first place. So that's a real legal problem with the case itself. And I expect that will play out in court in the coming weeks.
That's crazy that they just really creating the law to destroy Trump. Felony charges on something that could have been a misdemeanor. Taking down Trump any way possible. Amazing. And the people can see it. I think everybody sees it. And the more and more they push and try to take him down, the more and more people are going to go for Trump.
Sounds ominous, Greg. The deck is stacked against him. I imagine that starts immediately with jury selection.
Oh, it probably does. Alvin Bragg, the DA, claims that Trump falsified records, which is a mere misdemeanor, and the statute of limitations expired 4 years before the indictment. So to get around that, he claims that the misdemeanor was committed in furtherance of a felony, but he refuses to say what felony. He sort of vaguely refers to, oh, Trump violated election laws. Okay, what laws? What statutes? Well, Bragg won't say, because in a federal election, he has no authority to prosecute federal crimes. He's a local prosecutor. He has no jurisdiction. So he's sort of cleverly playing hide the crime, and Judge Merchan is letting him get away with it, even though this was not an illegal campaign donation, as the DA claims. The Federal Election Commission studied it. They said, this doesn't qualify as a campaign expenditure. Department of Justice investigated, said, no crime here. So even though the case is legally absurd, Bragg doesn't care. He's got a liberal judge and what will surely be a Trump-hating jury. And it doesn't matter to him that any conviction would be overturned, because the goal here is to influence the upcoming election.
And it's crazy. It's a great thing that Trump is smart enough to use this on his advantage. He's getting free publicity, and he's showing the people, like, look, they're using the legal system to take me down. And he's here fighting for you or for us, like he says. So only Trump is the only one that could withstand something like this. This legal wave happens to any regular person, and it will destroy them. We need Trump here. And I think this is going to cause New York City to flip. And if New York is red coming up November, oh man, it's going to be a glorious moment.
It's so important what you just laid out for us, that those with jurisdiction over this trial decline to prosecute it. He tries to bootstrap it into a felony in jurisdiction he doesn't have. So what you're also saying is, all of that, the weakness, would reveal itself on appeal, Greg. But that doesn't matter, because justice isn't the point. The point is the show we're about to get this week.
That's right. They want to call him a convicted felon. And this is classic lawfare, Will. It's weaponizing the legal system for political gain. It's also an example of unequal justice. I'll give you.
I don't know if anybody else can withstand such a hit. Trump is seriously special. We need him in. But that's just my opinion. Comment down below. What do you think?
An example, in the exact same election, 2016, Hillary Clinton did the same thing. She used a lawyer to secretly pay for the phony Steele dossier. She misreported it as legal expenses to conceal it. Well, she got caught and she was fined by the Federal Election Commission, but she was never prosecuted. Why? Her last name is Clinton. But if your last name is Trump, well, you get criminally charged. I think what the Biden Democrats and the media underestimate is the intelligence of the American voters. They see these dirty legal tricks for exactly what they are. And
we can see it. It's all about taking down Trump. I think I said it like 3 times already, but we live in a crazy time. And it's like he's exposing or moving the curtain out the way so we could see what's happening behind closed doors, what they're doing over there to stay in power. These long life politicians that need to just let go of power, and so we could run a real democracy.
Attempt to affect an election by abuse of our justice system.
But what do you expect this week, Greg? Do you expect, no matter what would happen on appeal, no matter the optimism for true justice on appeal, do you expect a New York jury, and as you pointed out, a far left judge, will make this end in a felony conviction?
Well, I do think the deck is stacked against him, because this is a judge who is not going to be, in my judgment, fair to the accused. And this won't be an impartial jury, as the Sixth Amendment demands. So, you know, this is very much like the Bob McDonnell case, former governor of Virginia. It was a crooked case against him, but they got a conviction, and then it was unanimously overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, it was too late by then. He was ruined politically and financially. And I think that is the template here.
So the goal, just to be clear, Greg, is within, let's say the trial lasts 6 weeks. It's scheduled, I think, for 6 weeks, but somewhere inside of 6 weeks to come out with this, with the ability to say, because Donald Trump won't end up in jail. I'm sure he'd be out pending appeal. The goal would be to come out of this entire process with the ability to say convicted felon and reap the benefits of that on an election.
Yeah, and that'll invariably affect some people. But in many ways, I think it's backfiring. A growing number of people see Trump here as a victim of political enemies who've weaponized the law against him, against nobody else but Donald Trump. And it's only fortified his support.
Okay, so this is my prediction of what's going to happen. I think they're trying to just make him a convicted felon, so like that he will lose the election in November, right? That's the game plan. And if he loses the elections in November, these are my two scenarios that I'm thinking. If he loses the elections in November, I think all charges, or he's going to win all the appeals, charges will be dropped, and it's like nothing happened. Regular citizen, because this is the last time Trump is going to get to run for president. The man is old. Now I think he's going to go for another run if he loses this one. Okay? So that's the first scenario. If he loses the election, everything's just going to go away. And they're going to stop prosecuting him. They're going to say based on appeal or just whatever reason, everything's going to go away. If he wins, then definitely everything's going to go away because he's the president of the United States. You can't imprison the president of the United States. That's not going to happen. So if he wins, all charges go away. If he loses, all charges go away. But the goal for the Dems right now is to make him a convicted felon. So they tell Americans you cannot elect a felon. Let's just go for the other guy. Man, this is crazy scenario. And we got to be verbal on life. Put your comments below. Let me know what you think. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Those are the two scenarios that's going to happen. This coming up November. And right now, because Trump is painting himself as a victim, and he's showing us that he's going up against the system, that should make people just go with his side. I'm one of those people from New York City. I was blue no matter who all my life. And for the first time, I feel like a Republican. This is crazy. Every time I look at Trump on TV, the man looks strong. Looks like a strong guy that could be a president. And then every time I see Biden, you see the weak man struggling to speak, struggling to walk. Crazy, crazy comparison. But again, here at Verbal on Life, my name is Noel, battling MS. If you're first time to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We're up to 1,600 subscribers. And we're just trying to build a platform here where you could be heard and we could spread the message that we actually have a voice. We just don't listen to the mainstream media that's telling us one thing that makes no sense, but we actually listening and paying attention. So subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Verbal or life.
All right, I think that was a good episode. It is interesting. Today is Wednesday. Donald Trump is off, so he's probably going to go to a different state and campaign. Or I don't know how he's going to take it. Maybe rest, because the man is all over the place. And it was nice seeing him in Harlem. I grew up in Harlem. I've never seen a president campaigning, because everybody knows New York City is blue no matter who, so they don't have to really campaign. They already got that vote in the pocket. But now Trump going to Harlem and voicing his opinion, trying to let people know that they're using the lawfare against him, he might just flip New York City. That would be great. I've never seen New York City go red in my lifetime. I think it has happened in the past, but in my lifetime, I've never seen that happen. I think we all know Donald Trump is from New York, right? He just residing in Florida because he got places, he got houses everywhere. Got a house in Chicago, New York, Florida, and probably more and more places. Because when you got money like that, you could do that. You could go ahead and live everywhere. But we live in an interesting time. Now I'm going to go ahead and edit a video and upload a couple of more. Stay with us and let's grow this channel.